So Anna, when you go to the store, do you ever use the self-service checkout?
Absolutely. Most of the time. I just can't deal with the small talk of like, hey, how's your day? Good. Self-service is the way to go.
You know,
What about you?
I use it too as much as I can. You know, part of it is that I have flashbacks to when I was a teenager and I was a cashier at the grocery store. But I actually don't like talking with people at all.
I figured, and that's why you're such a great manager, Dan.
I'm not sure how to take that. But yeah, I have no idea how to take that.
Uh, well, for that, I think just let's introduce Phil, and he's going to tell us more about how we can use self-service within CVAD so that we don't have to interact with people and we can do stuff ourselves. So, Phil, welcome to TechZone Live. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. So I've been a Citrix for about 4.5 years now. I previously was a systems administrator, and my previous role at Citrix was leading and looking after our pre-release validation tenants or workspaces. Right. So before we release stuff, we would put it in there and try to make sure it all worked well. We would have internal Citrites using those environments. So again,
I bet,
real testing, real use.
I bet you got a lot of calls wanting people to fix stuff that wasn't working right.
Yeah, of course. And it's like just because of the technical nature of the people inside Citrix, people want to know more than just like, can you fix my problem? They might want to know about the state of their virtual desktop or the state of their virtual session. Right now, until we talk about what I'm going to talk about today, often you'd have to log into Director or something to have a look and see what was going on. But yeah, with these the new microapps that we've just released, the integration templates, we can put that information and that kind of self-service type actions in front of the people who need it, right? The users who want to get stuff done, log off their session.
Now, was the work in that pre-production environment that you were doing, and just the people calling in or asking for stuff to be reset, I mean, was that kind of the basis for the idea behind this micro app?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I find that most of my good ideas come from pain. Not in a negative way, in like a kind of like, so we had almost like a hypercare type system where, people would report issues and we'd dive straight in immediately, right? There was almost no triage because, people were assumed to know what they were doing and knew what they were reporting. And it's interrupting, right? Like you're in the flow, you're doing something, maybe you're working on some automation and something pops up and someone's got a problem, you get distracted, you need to go and look at that. So there's interrupt, and then there's the kind of the time as well, right? Like I have to go over here, I have to log into Director, I have to go and figure out what's going on. It wasn't a huge burden, but it's one of those things where you're like, I wonder if we could make this better. Like I wonder if I could, enable people to answer these questions themselves and fix these things themselves without having to, come and talk to us and figure it out. This is a series of microapps that live inside a microapp integration, right? So what we've got is a microapp integration that talks directly to the CVAD service APIs, and it enabled us to do a bunch of neat things. The first thing it enables us to do is to pull in the session data and the machine data directly from the CVAD service. We pull it into the microapp cache, and then we can do things with it. So we've got 3 kind of core use cases or core microapps that have been templated and released. We've got a sessions microapp, which enables users to check out the status of their sessions, right? But also enables them to take action, so they can log off and they can disconnect, and they can do that straight from Workspace. Then we've got a desktops microapp, which out of the box will show you if you have a faulty machine. So let's say your VDI has got into a state where it's not working for some reason, and the CVAD service is reporting that it's faulty. We can bubble that up to you, and then you as a user can take action. So you can perform restarts and force restarts, again, directly from Workspace. There's no need to log into Director. No one needs to give you access to Director. You can do that straight from there. And then finally, we've got an admin mode microapp. And this enables some additional functionality that you would probably only want to subscribe your CVAD's administrators to. But it enables you to do things, again, straight from Workspace. You can enable maintenance mode for machines. You can search all of the machines that got pulled in from the API calls, and you can perform restarts of those machines as well. So I kind of want to dig into how this works, right? Because when I was working on this, it could feel a bit like magic at times. And hopefully this kind of illustrates what's going on. So we've got three kind of component services. We've got the Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop service on the left-hand side, and I've got an image of Web Studio there, but that's just to illustrate that we've got the Virtual Apps and Desktop service. We've got the Citrix Microapps service, which is a separate service that also lives in Citrix Cloud. And then we've got Citrix Workspace, which is the workspace that we use when we log on to customer.cloud.com, right? And there's a kind of series of interactions that happen between these different services to make this microapp work. First of all, the Citrix Microapp service uses the CVAD APIs to pull in information. So it queries the CVAD service and it says, for this customer ID, I'm giving you these credentials. Tell me all of the sessions and all of the machines that you have. The API responds, the Microapp service ingests that information, and then it stores it in a cache or a database, right, inside the Microapp service. And from there, we can do things with that information. So we can choose to display it to people or users in Workspace, which is why on the right-hand side here, you've got an example image of the kind of information that you can show to people, right? You can show people their delivery group or their DNS name if you want to. And then we've got an additional kind of interaction that's going on where once someone chooses to take an action, right? So if this person chooses to log off their session, that sends a request to the Microapp service, which will then send an API call to the CVAD service to perform that action. So we're using open APIs that are available. There's no kind of magic stuff going on in the background. It's all like open APIs, and that then means that people can extend this as well, right? We've released kind of template-based functionality, and over time people can they can tweak these microapps to do what they want to do or show the information that they want to show.
And I think, Phil, this is great, right? Because this microapp not only is empowering the user, because there's a lot of times that as an end user, the last thing you want to do is call support when it's something that you could probably fix yourself. So you're empowering the end user and saving them time and increasing their productivity. But also from a help desk perspective, you're reducing the number of calls where people are calling in to do something simple like logging off their session or disconnecting that session. So I think this is, a win-win in both the admin side and the user side.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's customers out there that outsource their service desk ticketing system, right? Every time a person raises an issue with the service desk, it can cost them money. So there's savings to be made as well as all the time and everything else. I love a demo. Just going to do a few kind of quick demos showing a couple of scenarios. The first one is the user experience when they are choosing to log off their session. So in this scenario, their session is got stuck or something, and I'm just showing the workspace and what that session log off looks like. And then the second one will be a demonstration of a VDI Desktop Restart. So we're going to restart the desktop from Workspace. So I've got Workspace on the left-hand side here. Just going to go to the micro app. I can see the the sessions that I have open. You can see information about it, and I can click log off, and then you'll see Word log off shortly. There we go. And that's it. That's like how easy it is, and it's that quick. There's not much delay between. So then we've got the desktop restart as well. So again, I'm in Workspace. I've got my desktop open on the right hand side there. I'm going to choose to go to my desktops micro app. You can see my desktops. Get more information about those desktops. Then I can choose to restart. And then we'll see on the right hand side, the machine will restart. There we go.
So if I don't like my coworkers, can I restart a multi-session machine?
Someone asks that every time. Yeah, so we've thought about that. Yeah, so there's a couple of things that we do to kind of make sure that people can't do things accidentally, right? The first one is that the micro app will only for the user-facing micro apps, the My Sessions and the My Desktops, it will only show you sessions that you are associated with, right? You can't see other people's sessions and desktops. The other thing that we do as well is that using the logic in the Microapps page logic, we restrict certain actions. So if a machine is multi-session, we will not allow people to restart it. Like we completely block that. That's not possible.
So Dan, don't get any ideas in your head of messing.
Too late.
If I annoy you, I can already see Dan trying to restart my machine and mess me up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So like, how do you get started with all of this stuff? You will need Citrix Workspace. You will need Citrix Microapps Service. And you will need the Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop Service. Now that's a really important point, the last one, which is that it needs to be the cloud CVAD service. This doesn't work with the on-prem CVAD product. And the reason for that is because the on-prem product doesn't have the APIs that we need to be able to call to pull this stuff in, right? To pull the data in, to perform the actions. So it's CVAD service only. And then we've prepared a getting started guide for the microapp itself, or sorry, for the integration itself, and the microapps as well. There's a link here, but you can find it by searching for CVAD's microapp on your web search engine of choice, and that will take you through all the different steps that you need to go through. It's not quite as simple as some other integrations. There is a little bit of configuration that needs to be done, but we all cover that in the documentation.
Now you mentioned that you have to use the Virtual Apps and Desktop service, but with that service, this works for on-prem as well as cloud-hosted VDIs, right? It's just has to be managed
that's
by
a great
service.
point. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so like we like this micro app doesn't care or isn't concerned about where those VDAs and VDIs are. As long as they are brokered through the Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop service, then you're all good.
True.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, and then like these are templates, right? So we're just releasing a template, and they work out of the box. But the great thing, and one of my favorite things about microapps, is you can tweak them. So you can customize these microapps. If you have a use case where you don't want people to restart their desktops, but you do want to give them the information, you can just remove the button from the microapp, right? And the same thing with, like, if you don't want to show the IP address of the machine, you can remove that field in the page builder of the microapps thing. And again, like, you might only want to expose session management, right? So you can choose to only subscribe people to that microapp. So there's a lot of flexibility, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what people can build and will build with this now that it's released.
the restart desktop button should be renamed to self-destruct.
Do you want like an alarm to go off?
Oh, that'd
as
be
well,
awesome.
like, just as you hit it. Yeah.
Or actually, you could just turn it red and say, "Do not press this button." And
Well, but then you can guarantee someone will click
yeah.
it, right? So.
Dan would have a lot of fun if he was the one setting up the microapps for an environment.
Yes.
Well, Phil, thank you for joining TechZone Live. I think this has been a great overview, and I think a lot of customers will be able to take advantage. Like we mentioned before, you get the end user, you save time and increase their productivity, and then from the customer side, they can have a lot of cost savings just by setting this up. So we really appreciate you coming, and thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks. It's always fun.